All right, everyone. Hey, it must be Friday because it's another Q&A with Alan and Marshall. I'm Marshall Atkinson.
I'm Alan Howe with EasyWay.
And welcome to our little show. And we've got a special guest today. Alan, please introduce us.
We have the one and only Simon Clifford from Techmar Industries. And I have known Simon my whole career and everything. I will say one of the
5 years.
A lot of years, 37. One of the funniest guys in the industry, but not just hilarious, but well-rounded and great products. And Simon, I'm so glad we talked about it for years and having you on the show. So thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. And as I mentioned in my promo, I'll try not to embarrass myself.
You won't.
So where do you live, Simon? Tell her.
I'm in Southern California. I'm about kind of geographically between Los Angeles and Santa Barbara. Our headquarters is actually in Santa Barbara. We have a facility in Georgia as well, so in Conyers, Georgia, outside of Atlanta. But so I live in a little area. If anybody knows the area, I live in the Canal Valley. I live in Thousand Oaks, which is off the 101, the main route up and down. And so, nice little community between mountains and hills, and we just enjoy life here.
Good. So if everybody's watching, what we love for you to do is just say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. And also, this is a Q&A. So we're all about questions. So we need your questions and comments and suggestions and goofy stories, whatever you want to share. We need those to make the show better, right? So don't just sit there and listen, Brian Bufka. Please comment and let us know what's going on and that type of stuff, right? So anyway, we got a couple people who have already said hello. So Ray's here and Lakeisha's here. So appreciate you guys joining in. And Ray says he's watching from a Starbucks office, right? That's great.
We need the goofy stories because between the three of us, we don't have any.
Yeah, we've never done anything wrong in our whole lives.
Not at all.
Just a very boring, quiet life I've led.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also Hurley's here. Good morning.
From
David
Canada.
Durbin's here. Hey, that's interesting that he's here. That's great. Good to see you.
Dave, how you doing? Dave Durbin from I knew him from Cincinnati. He'll always be forever Cincinnati Screen, but NASDAR. Yep.
Dave and I are pretty good friends, so we have a lot of musical and artist interests. So I love seeing Dave around. So.
Yep, he's living his best life in Cincinnati,
and Richard's here. He's driving currently.
Watching from YouTube. All right, Richard.
Yeah, so keep your eyes on the road, Richard, please.
Yeah. You can tell with the little picture. Well, they're on. I see it now. But YouTube now. I get it. Technology.
Now you get it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. So I really want to get into a lot of the topics today. So what do you say we pay some bills real quick, and then we can get into the meat of the show. So we want to thank GSG for always sponsoring our show. You guys really kill it, and thanks so much. And here's their promo.
All right.
GSG, the combination of over half a century of knowledge with industry-leading technology and the customer at the center of everything that we do. Graphic Solutions Group is a powerhouse distributor of traditional screen, sign, wide format digital printing, embroidery, and textile decorating. We are committed to our customers, providing support, educational, and consulting services. Your success is our success. We've seen these industries grow and change in our 70 years. One thing never changes. GSG's dedication providing the best products and services available. We've been around, we'll be around, from the highs and the lows, standing right here with you. GSG, the right products, right away.
All right, and before we get into the thing, I have a friend of mine. He posted just to needle me. So
saw that.
Mark Siganiak, Milwaukee, Wisconsin resident and good friend, says, will FSU be a good football team this year? He knows he's trying to trigger me. So thank you, Mark. So actually, yes, FSU is going to be a really great football team this year. Our quarterback, Travis Hunter, is in the running for the Heisman Trophy, and we're going to be kicking major butt. So thanks, Mark. Say hi to Mary. And Glenn's here. Great day, guys. Good seeing you. And William's here. I really enjoyed Shirt Lab Summit. Thank you so much. In fact, what an incredible segue.
What a lead in. Way to go.
What an incredible segue into actually talking about Shirt Lab Summit. And I wanted just to shout out our sponsors real quick. Here's a sponsor page from our event guide. Of course, Easy Way is a sponsor. GSG is a sponsor. And we couldn't do all the great things we do with Shirt Lab without our sponsors. So huge shout out to them. And if you've enjoyed Shirt Lab Summit, you can still watch the videos. If you haven't signed up yet, please go to shirtlabsummit.com. It's free there. And the whole thing is all about the customer journey. And right here on the left-hand side, you can see the 8 segments that we talk about during the show, and lots of really great information. And we've got great people just like Alan here talking about sales and your customer journey. And it's a really fun thing. So huge shout out to all of our speakers, to all of our sponsors, and also to every one of you guys for participating. We've had a lot of really great responses and feedback, and huge shout out to everybody for hanging out with us for that. So good job on that. And if you haven't been there, this is where you need to go, which is, well, I don't have it. I didn't make it. So it's shirtlabsummit.com. Sorry, I didn't type that in. So anyway, that's that. Sorry. So anyway, let's get the show started with a history of your company. So tell us about Techmar.
Well, I was just a kid I was just turning 20 when I came to the US. I'd already graduated as an engineer in the aerospace industry, had a great job out here, went to interview the company. They hired me on the spot because I knew the aircraft that they were buying, and then went back down to stay with my cousins who lived in the Los Angeles area, and saw they filed for bankruptcy that day. The same company just gave me the job. So never started that. My parents, so I was here, no job, given up a career at British Aerospace. So my parents had sold everything up, and they were planning on moving out to the States, which prompted me to move out here. So and my dad and I, we started a company called Swiss Spray. Swiss Spray was representing a Swiss company, the Krebs spot cleaning guns, and it was just going to be the garment industry. I remember we met with a representative from his name was Jim Dadlani from Dow Chemicals. We got an appointment with him, and he met us at a coffee shop or somewhere at Delhi, bought us lunch. And he said, well, so you guys are starting this business, you'll be buying some solvents. I said, yeah, we are. My dad goes, yep. He goes, well, what do you think volume you'll be doing? My dad goes, well, I think we could start with 4 drums. And the guy just went, oh. I mean, they were selling tanker trucks to right. So, and he went, oh, okay then, right. So we started small, and we moved forward a few years. Swiss Spray became Expert Products. If those don't know, I was principal at Expert Products. Expert Products grew to a relatively big company. We discovered the screen printing industry, which was far bigger than the textile manufacturing industry. And Expert grew. Then my dad wanted to retire, so he sold his we had a partner. He sold his interest in the company to his partner's partner, and then I kind of it was a family business that became a big part of a big corporate company, and corporate companies don't like family businesses because they like to try and get rid of that close-knit personality, so they made it very difficult for me. So I left and started Techmar, and Techmar started with my friends in Santa Barbara who had a chemical company, and we did everything right. We just didn't attack our competitors. We had a great philosophy. We just went after the business and talked to people, and it was like expert took the marketing book that Marshall's written, and it was chapter 11, things not to do, and they did everything. For 2 years they attacked me and went after me, and then they basically folded, and the assets were sold to Albatross, and Albatross bought what was left of the expert. They still have a few expert products that they sell, which is great. And real funny story, real quick, is the primary chemical that's sold for screen printing from Albatross is called Premium 303, which was the name that the new owners gave the Premium 303. It used to be called HC 303. HC 303 was Harvey Clifford, my dad.
Yep.
And the address was 303 Trailside Court. That's what this complicated formula. HC 303.
Great.
Ego driven. So they sell this product called Premium 303, and I like to remind Jay at Albatross all the time that I still live at 303 Trailside Court. So you still got me.
So what's funny is your family is the invention of the SKU number.
So and then Techmar, early. Sorry,
Simon, didn't they have a product, Krebs, Super Clean and Super Clean 3?
That was actually the Super Clean products was developed by Albatross, by Albachem. They came because they inherited the Krebs distribution.
Got it.
After us. Now Krebs guns are good guns, but they're expensive. We can talk about spot cleaning guns.
No, that's okay.
A little bit, but no. The thing about the relationships is, when you're young in the business, a competitor is an enemy, and you take on this like, hey, we're a war. But as you get older, you go, I don't need these battles, and I am such good friends with my competitors now. Albatross, American Niagara, I'm just friends. We're all friendly. Yeah, and it's like, there's no. We get along so much better. I recommend them if they've got a product that I don't have, and vice versa. They do same.
Absolutely.
We sometimes make products for each other, so it's a better way to live. So
also, I think, we think that this is a really big industry, but it's
real small.
I describe Techmar as a giant fish in a tiny pond. So we're one of the big fish in a tiny pond. So basically, you've got these three whales in this 25 square meters pond swimming around, and it's just so we're big in our industry, but if you step outside this industry, no one knows who we are, no one knows who you are, no one knows who you are. No one knows us. We're just people, as I like to, we're just people that sling paint on a t-shirt or have something to do with it. So
hey, you said paint, we're about to get some comments.
Well, Simon and I were just at a show together for another dealer, and they were having the hardest time of people who to have next to each other in booths and stuff. So it was Techmar, me, and Chromaline. Well, and they go, does that buy? I go, I don't care who I buy. I'm friends with all of them.
Yeah.
Do Chromaline and I compete a little bit?
Well, you would think
I compete? Not at all.
You would think that Jay from Albatross and I were the same company.
Yeah.
The way we hang out together. It's like,
exactly.
We customers will come up and they say something bad about Albatross, and I go, well, I think they're a pretty paint. There we go. Look, I think they're a pretty good company. So it's just no. So Techmar grew, and we 20 plus years ago, I recognized that there was something wrong in the process of screen printing, which was the t-shirts being held down, the adhesive, and I went, just. Back in the old days, I think, I don't know if any of us are old enough, they used to use sandblast adhesive to hold the shirts down. They paint on this heavy solvent-based rubberized glue and hold the shirts down. And then they started, the spray cans became, I'm the bar, doing a spray, the spray can, is my spray can symbol. The spray can became the vogue thing to use, and it just seemed very messy. And
it's such the wrong thing to use in the shop.
I know.
A giant list of reasons.
I used to have a top 10 list not to use aerosol cans. It was like the David Letterman top 10, and the number one reason it used to be on the front of the booth. It was like a funny little thing, like there were things like fed up with the permanent wave in my hair, bed sheets stick to me at night. Just all these different things that would just the reasons not. But here's a real reason not to use too much adhesive. Is as I went to a shop once, and they done smart. They put cardboard on the floor underneath the press, and they had this beautiful golden retriever dog that followed us around everywhere. And I was like, I love dogs. So, and this dog was following us around, and we get to the press, and we're talking about how we can install an adhesive system, their water-based adhesive system. And the dog lays down underneath the press and got stuck and couldn't get up.
Oh God!
Perfect.
The poor dog is like trying to get up, and it's stuck.
Perfect.
And it was like we had to like peel him off the cardboard. And I went, "Yep."
Yeah.
So we pioneered the water-based adhesive. We created an industry which didn't exist. Because I'm an engineer, I like making equipment. So we have really good equipment. We make it all in house. So we made these adhesive spray systems that are HVLP, so you don't get this big blast of adhesive going everywhere. And we even make a vacuum now that goes underneath the press that collects the overspray that falls past the pallet. So we do things that we innovate some stuff, and we developed the water-based adhesive for screen printing market. We created that market, and now there's a bunch of other companies doing it, but that's great. The more people that do it, the better, because we're not using spray cans or la bomba, which is very appropriate in Spanish, because they do explode when they go through a dryer, because I've seen it.
Absolutely.
So we got some good comments. I want to get to them real quick. So Ron's here. Good seeing you, Ron. Good day. It's always a good day with Ron. And Ray wants to know if Printing United was on the sponsored list for Summit. They are. Printing United gave us money, and we got money from them, and so they sponsor us. And Printing United also has their magazine, The Apparelist, and they helped us with some marketing stuff. So Frank's here. Good morning, Frank. He works for SNS, another sponsor for Shirt Lab. Just got back from Marshall's beloved Florida. Yes, you bet. Go Seminoles. Charles says, happy Friday, everyone. Good seeing you. Ray also says, in the chemical sector, everyone is manufacturing certain items for their former enemies. Anyway, I'll drink any of it, I guess.
Don't do that.
Grant says, I know Simon, but didn't know most of the story. So there you go. You're enlightening your buddies. And Ray says, no one knows this, but we're big in Japan.
Yeah.
Carla, thumbs up from her.
Carla runs our office in Georgia, and Carla's just a shout out to Carla, who is one of my heroes. So she's a good lady.
And Davis is almost done for the day. Congratulations, Davis.
That's awesome, man.
And what's really fun is that he's watching our show instead of working. So good job.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great. So thanks for the history lesson. Let's get into the next thing, which is really about best practices for use. I think a lot of people use adhesives kind of incorrectly, or they don't really think about it, or, they're using, spray tack, and, their dogs are sticking to things, or all their forearm hair is kind of matted down, or they've got this lint issue on the press, right? And so let's talk about adhesives. Let's also talk about, I think, spot gun best practices also. We'll save our last topic about what goes in them, but just some general thinking about your products and maybe how everybody should be using them appropriately, because I don't think everybody follows directions all the time.
Nah, people don't. People grew up just using stuff, and it's one of the hardest things is to get let's talk about adhesive. One of the hardest things for owners is to get the press operators to put down the aerosol can.
Right.
They don't want to pick up the spray gun. They like the spray. Because it is different. We've tried to get it as close to the simulating the adhesion and the application as an aerosol can, but it's still always going to be different. We make guns that you can hang from the ceiling. We make guns that you can have multiple guns off the same press. You can have a gun hanging next to the press, but it's still different than picking up an aerosol can. But just walk in a shop, look at the press, it's covered in fur. That's the solvents they use in aerosol cans are lighter than air, so they float. It travels. The water-based adhesive, it will fall down if it misses the pallet. Obviously, it's got to go somewhere, but it doesn't necessarily float around the shop. So you'll see far less with water-based adhesive. The biggest lesson I give to people when they're switching over is less is more. Use less adhesive, because the guns have an adjustment knob on the back. You can shut it off. We open it up half a turn. You can't see the adhesive when you spray it on a white pallet. We have to get a piece of black paper to show people at trade shows. Like, no, it is spraying. If you put down half an inch of adhesive on that pallet, it's still only going to stick to the outside surface. So you're wasting the glue. If you put extra glue down, why are you doing that? You want the thinnest, finest coat you can put down. But the water-based adhesives, especially ours, they bond to the surface you're spraying them on, so they won't transfer off. If it's a warm pallet, we get instantaneous adhesion. We don't get any wetness. If the glue is white, it's still wet. Don't put adhesion on it because it's going to transfer onto the shirt. But our glue, literally, when we spray it fine, you get no overspray. You get literally the glue is dry and you can print, so you can spray print. As I said, the biggest problem is getting the press operator, the loader to believe that. And I'll use a dog story. It's just it's the tail wagging the dog versus the dog wagging the tail. If you're an owner of the company, take the aerosol cans away. So you're not using them.
Well, just quit buying them.
But quit buying them. Yeah, that's what I meant. But quit buying them, take them away. I said, no, we're not. We're switching over. I mean, I've done central line shops. I've put in like where there's 500 feet of piping above the presses, dropping down onto guns with a big pump. We've done all this stuff. We even made a unit called the AutoTac, which used to go on the press mounted, and it was automatically index and spray. We made it for TAS. I came up with the name the Fantastic. Pretty clever. TAS eventually took ownership of that. I don't know if they carried on with it, but the problem with those is they're too hard to maintain. It's just too hard. Our guns stay relatively clean. The glue doesn't dry in the lines, but it's too hard to maintain those spray heads. They people don't clean the system, and it just so we. So
should you with these guns? Should you like monthly or so like soak them overnight in a bucket of water or something just to clean the nozzles and the heads, just to make sure they don't get all gummed up?
I can only speak for our adhesive. Our adhesive is not water soluble once it's dried. It will not dissolve in water. So if you took a pallet and you put it underwater and then took it out and dried the water off, it'll still be sticky, but it won't be sticky when there's water on it. So we take a sponge with a slightly damp sponge. You can pull the lint off the glue, and then once the water's gone, the glue's sticky again. So the same with the guns. If the gun, we want to keep the glue boogers off the head of the gun. We don't have to worry about the lines inside, because as long as it's closing off, the glue will always stay liquid. If not, there's no air. But you want to keep those glue boogers. So we have an orange citrus-based cleaner we recommend, or honestly, for our glue, people can use denatured alcohol, vodka. I've actually, another true story, at a trade show, I made the joke about, or one of my associates made a joke at the saying, yeah, you can use vodka to clean it, because vodka is just ethyl alcohol. Well, it just happened. We had left the hotel and we were packing up the crate, and I had a bottle of vodka that was from the hotel room, because we have our own bar set up, because obviously why not have your own bar when you're there for 5 days at a trade show? We sell the bar. And because I do drink. And so I don't lie about it. So I had the bottle of vodka. I said, hey, watch this. I took the vodka and I poured some vodka on the pallet, and I took the glue off with it. And they but what are you going to do with the rest of the vodka? I went, well, hang on. We're not giving away samples of vodka. But actually, vodka would take the glue off, our glue off. So
if you were in the South, it would sound like this. Hey, y'all, watch this.
Yeah. It's really funny. Just 30 seconds.
Don't use the Grey Goose and Tito's for that. Just
when people like Alan like to do the English accent when they talk to me. Go ahead, Alan. Go on, say.
Me, I don't do that. I don't.
People they always sound so bad. They go.
Have I ever done an English accent?
I think you have once or twice.
Maybe. They go, it's probably not good.
They go, top of the morning to you, governor.
Probably.
And I'm like, oh God. So
I did ask when you made fun of me at this last show. He came up to Al and said, I don't want to be next to him. I did ask the show manager if he has this guy have a green card, but that was it. So
I am a card carrying, passport holding American. I'm very proud of it. But just so we get this really clear, anybody that does a fake English accent to me, this is how you sound to me. Ding dong, daddy, yeah. If you're going to do an English accent, that's what you sound like to me, right? So if you're not Renee Zellweger.
Oh, so you sound like you're from Alabama. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. You sure is pretty.
That's what I was saying, but now my family's from Alabama.
Anyway, that's adhesive. So adhesive is, we make a whole different range of adhesives for different, we can talk about that later, but or now, whatever, we make different adhesives for different applications. All right. So not all adhesives are created equal. not all adhesives can do the same job. So we list off what our adhesives can do. So that's a good thing. We even have adhesives for the sports fabrics, the polyester and the siliconized sports fabrics, so it will make those stick. We're pretty good with water-based ink, because the problem with water-based printing is when you flash, it puts steam down, and steam goes through the shirt because the water's evaporating. And it's much like taking wallpaper off. It will separate the shirt from the glue. The glue is still sticky, but it just steams it off. So I think some of the flash manufacturers are now putting downdraft air in the flash to solve that problem. It blows air through, which stops it. But we have our adhesives will hold up to most water-based printing operations because they don't dissolve with the water that's in the ink. Some of the
I didn't know that.
I didn't
That's
think about
fantastic.
I was working with Jesse, our friend Jesse.
Yeah,
and he we were having lots of problems with some printers. They were just we weren't sure if it was the
Jesse Matsui.
Jesse Martinez, another guy I've known for years, and so we've known these people. I've known a lot of people for a lot of years, and it's just we're just a family, screen printing family. So spot cleaning guns. I did want to get a shout out about spot cleaning guns, Marshall, because we sell thousands a year. So does Albatross, so does American Niagara. Okay. I don't think people quite recognize the fact that the spot cleaning gun is probably the hardest working little machine in the shop when you're using it. It's not a complicated machine, much like me. Simple, but it's the thing about the spot cleaning guns is they work really hard. There's an armature in there that oscillates with the frequency of the electricity. So it's moving 60 times a second like this, pumping.
Wow.
That's a lot. 60 times a second. That's 3,600 times a minute, right? So that's a huge amount of work. So cut us some slack when spot cleaning guns break. We will fix them, and we do have a great warranty, but they do break because they do work extremely hard.
I'll tell you, one of the most common reasons why I've seen them break is the operator. Like one of the things I really like is that retractable cord thing that doesn't allow them to fall off.
Oh, yep.
Okay. And so one of the biggest problems is that people put them down on a stand or the table or whatever, and you've got that little pipe that comes out with the nozzle, and then that falls over, and then that cracks or breaks or whatever. I've seen it a million times, and I'm sure you guys do too. So that little retractable cord, bungee cord thing, whatever that thing's called, is such a really great thing to have, because that prevents that part of the spot cleaning gun from breaking. Don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a weight balance. So hang it from a chain, hang it from a gun stand we make, hang it from a bracket, hang the gun up, and you won't drop the gun. And the gun's always in the same place, because what happens is they put a pile of t-shirts down, slide them over, and they push the gun off. So
Simon has a sprayer for water-based adhesive too that can be weight balanced from there. When I worked for distributors, I would sell them, and if the people would use them right, they're incredible.
Well, we make a device called a skyhook, which is it looks like a big hangman's noose. It goes up 7 feet and has a 4-foot arm that comes out, so you can swing it over so you can hang the gun over the load station, and it just retracts up out of the way, and the plumbing goes through by the poles, so it's off the floor and everything. So we do that we make cleaning stations for the spot cleaning guns. We make a station that has a charcoal filter, so it cleans the air. So there's all the bells and whistles, but it's the spot gun and the chemical or what do the work.
And I know everybody watching doesn't make mistakes, and you feel like you don't need this, but let me tell you, these things really do a good job, and I've saved so many orders over the years because of a pinhole or a stray piece of something, or a piece of art that the artist didn't catch, and there's we can blow that little bit out, and then we don't have to reprint the whole order. And it's a pain in the ass to go through all those shirts, but guess what? So is ordering the shirts and reprinting it. And this is how you kind of do some really good things, right?
It's not even that. It's when you go deliver the shirt to the customer and he's waiting, and you short the shirt, and you go, you can come back in a week and get another shirt, or 3 days ago. No, you can finish. We call them spot cleaning virgins. When they don't have a gun, they walk in, they go, let's go. When they see it, I say, you have a box of t-shirts in your shop right now that would pay for that gun. They go, well, I do.
Absolutely.
Because now you're not going to take a whole design off. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
That's
but you
dumb.
smudges, fingerprints, these are the things we're working on. Now we also sell a lot of guns to the textile industry and the embroidery industry, because when you get oil off the needle bar on a sewing machine or embroidery machine, it goes into the threads. The only way you can really clean it is with a spot cleaning gun, otherwise you get a stain there. So we do a lot in that industry. I was many years ago, I went into
Simon, is that the same chemical on embroidery that you would use?
It's similar. It's a different formulation. It's a different ratio. They see with screen printing inks, you need the chemical to hang around a little bit longer.
Right.
So so you want it not to evaporate so fast. When you're cleaning grease and oil, you want to get the oil out and get it to evaporate to stop the ringing forming. So it's the same family of chemicals, just different ratios when we blend them. But I went into, I don't know if any of you guys ever go to that Fruit of the Loom plant near
in Anniston, Alabama?
Yeah, New Orleans. It was outside New Orleans. It was the largest textile factory on the planet. And I got called in there to consult because they had a huge couple of big problems. And one of the problems was this pen mark. This pen mark. They had the people would write the tags and they would put a pen mark on the white T-shirt underwear. And they said, "What do we do?" And so we can't clean this. So they brought them over and they drew on a piece of fabric, and I had all my stuff there and couldn't clean it. And I said, "Wow!" So I took my pen out and I drew on it and I cleaned my pen ink out. I said, "Well, there's your solution." I said, "What's that?" I said, "Change all the pens in the place to this pen." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, the marks are going to appear. You can't. You just clearly told me you can't change that system where people write the tags. So why don't you just change it to a pen that you can actually clean?" And it was like light bulbs going off. So it's thinking outside the box on this stuff. So that was one of the.
That's a great story.
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. It's just think outside the box. There's a solution, but it wasn't what they were looking for.
Well, can you tell me what the product is like for embroidery? And the only reason is we have, in a couple of weeks, we have Liz Beavers, who's in charge of embroidery at GSG, going to be the guest host. Marshall's not going to be around, so this is stuff that I think we were talking about, that we know spot cleaning for screen printing. We forget there is a whole market and everybody has embroidery machines.
The cut and sew is huge and way bigger. So the textile industry, the carpet industries, So with embroidery, you don't need so much. Oil is not hard to remove. Oil and grease, it's solventized by the solvent. It gets broken down. Solvent by nature. The definition of a solvent is it will break something down. So the solvent is used to break something down. So whether it's paint thinner, whether it's this, and there's a chemical out there. Marshall's very familiar with it. It's my wife uses it to take our nail polish off, and acetone. And let's just get this off the table right now. Do not put acetone in your spot cleaning gun. Do not spray acetone.
100%.
You're spraying a highly flammable mist through a piece of equipment that is not explosion proof. There is not an explosion proof spot cleaning gun made on the planet today. So do not, it's an electric gun with sparks generated by the switch. You are waiting for a fire, and there have been many fires in shops caused by acetone. Regardless of what the safety people, when they come in, will say, you can't use this solvent, you should use acetone, that will work. The fire department has a different take on it. Okay, so do not use acetone.
Well, it's basically a hand grenade in your hand. Right? You're just waiting for something to happen.
Yep, and so it's just flammable, and what did we say before? It's lighter than air, so it's rising up, so it's filling up in the ceiling cavity. You got this vapor. Embroidery. It doesn't take a lot to take oil out. The guns, most spot cleaning guns have an adjustable nozzle on the front. You can adjust the nozzle. So don't put it on a high pressure pinpoint jet, because that can damage the fabric and damage the threads. Put it on just like not a full mist, but just maybe if you're holding the gun 6 inches away, put it at about a 1/2 inch spray pattern. And then if you work from the outside of the oil stain to the middle, always check the color fastness of your threads, because sometimes it will run. It's not like cured ink. Once it's cured, it's not going to run. So. But just work from the outside in and push it through. You've got to have backing behind there. You want to put some sort of support, whether it's a cleaning station with a stainless steel screen, or at least a scrap T-shirt. Another thing about spot cleaning, and I think in a little while you might show a web page where we've got my video. I have a 10 or 12 minute video I made a few years ago on spot cleaning 101, which covers every aspect. It's not biased.
We need to show that anyway, so let's just get to that.
It's not biased on my products, the video. I mean, obviously I'm using my products, but it
Sure.
applies to any, it applies. Oh, this is the adhesive stuff. So this is
at the GSG website, and the Simon's products were in the last pulse, but they're not in this one. So we're just showing you at the GSG website at gogsg.com.
Yeah.
Here is the hold on, I got the spot cleaning stuff right here. So here's the gun and the video and also some products. So Simon, walk us through what we're looking at right here.
Well, that's our Pro Series gun. I think it's blue now. That was an older picture. The Pro Series gun has a built-in air dryer, so you actually have a trigger switch for your thumb that will blast compressed air. So once you've finished the actual spot cleaning process, you can circle around from the outside in with air to high-speed dry the shirt. Now, here's a shout out. Anybody out there spot cleaning, do not put your shirt through the dryer to dry it, because that will guarantee to give you a ring. You need cold air. The ring will give you a ring which will form around it. I put this video together. There's a video. It's on our website or on the GSG website or on YouTube under Techmar Ltd. You can watch the video on spot cleaning, everything from upholstery to t-shirts to embroidery to everything's on there. Give techniques and little things you can do to make there's some skill involved with spot cleaning. It's very low level skill if I'm doing it, but it's definitely there are some techniques. That's the TS3 is the primary product we sell for ink removal. We have a TS5, which is a friendlier, healthier alternative. I don't think it's as good, but it definitely solves the environmental and health side of because by nature these chemicals are nasty. They're not nice chemicals. That's why we recommend using the cleaning stations, adequate ventilation, because you're spraying through something that you really don't want to be breathing too much. So with our cleaning stations, you almost have a zero exposure when you're using the
and of course, you can get SDS sheets for all this stuff.
Oh yeah, SDS on everything. You need to have it. You need to know what you're dealing with.
And then here is the
the TBHV. That's our pallet direct apply. So that comes with little squeegees that you can so that gallon that's there on the left hand side, that's about 6 to 8 cases of spray cans. Each of those little bottles, the 8-ounce bottles that are in the middle, they're about probably about 6 spray cans worth of glue. You don't get a lot of glue in a spray can. You only get about 30% solid in there. 30% adhesive, and out that adhesive is about 40% solid. That adhesive, that green one, is 68% solid adhesive. So if you were to if you weighed it and evaporated it, you'd be left with 68% of the weight after you evaporated out the water. Mm-hmm. The TB500 is our smallest applicator. It's good. It sprays a fine mist, doesn't overspray. You don't get a big blast of glue going everywhere. I used to call the fungus on the presses a Star Trekian fungus that just keeps growing. So that stops that. And the TB10 is that glue that we are using there. I
love the TB500 because for smaller shops, it'll fit on a gallon bucket.
Yep.
Be around. It's an incredible product.
And its price point is the gallon that comes with it replaces more adhesive than it costs. So it makes sense. The blue one is our TBEZ. That's the one that's used for the sports fabrics. But if you're using Legend or you're printing for Nike, we have a designated TBEZ-X, which meets the Nike protocols. It has none of the EPEO and MPEO surfactants that are marine pollutants, which they're really not, but they're grouped into that category that has none of those in it. So that would be
Simon.
We also make a TB15. Before I forget, TB15 is used for the embroidery to hold down applique, and the way it's developed is it doesn't like metal, so that when the needle goes through the glue, when they're sewing the applique on after they've stuck it down, it doesn't grab the glue and pull it back out and make a mess or get stuck on the needle. So we found a polymer combination that doesn't like metal. So that's which is perfect. If you're into rock and roll, a lot of us don't like metal. So there you
go. Got some comments here. Ray says acetone is evil. Sadly, one of the only chemicals we can use in the printed electronics industry in California. It was grandfathered in.
So sad.
Randy Tedders here says, "Hey buddies."
Hey Randy.
Is that
And
one of your
Charlie
friends?
is also
Get back
here.
to work.
I forgot to show that. So, hi, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
And then William says, I use TB Easy, love it for poly and tri blends.
There you go. Yep.
Let's talk more about that, because that's a product I don't think a lot of people know is out there, and it's a solution, because everybody complains about, water-based adhesive and adhesive sticking in, to the shirts when they come off for tri blends for polyester. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, you see, the polyester, cotton has. If you look at cotton underneath a microscope, it will grip. It's fibrous. Even if it's ring spun open end, it's still going to be. And I claim I know nothing about the t-shirt industry, right? If it's ring spun open end, okay. So if it's got some traction to it. Polyester is very slick. So when you get a polyester blend or a tri blend, it's kind of slicker. If you look into the sports fabrics, they're siliconized to make them wicking, right? So, have you ever tried to stick something to silicone? You ever sprayed a car and there's some silicone on the metal when you're trying to paint it and you get the fish eyes? Silicone, well, our TBEZ will stick to silicone. You can take silicone rubber and spray out silicone and it will stick to it. So we've come up with a polymer blend. Again, we're not chefs, we're cooks. So we take ingredients and we make something nice. So we find these different. I took some classes. I think that they don't exist anymore. A company called Air Products exists, but Air Products used to make polymer, and then they got got moved on, and now there's different companies that own the polymer. But I took some seminars with them, and I kind of learned a little bit about polymer blending. And I had a partner who passed away a few years back, Nick. Nick was just a chemist, and he was brilliant. You remember Nick, Alan?
Oh, of course.
He was a lovely guy. One of the nicest people in the world. Shout out to Nick, wherever you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I know where he is because he's a good guy. I may not see him. But anyways, so Nick was. But we developed these glues, and the TBEZ is just it likes silicone, and so when you put down the sports fabrics, it will actually hold it down. And with water-based technology, the inks, that's a big problem. The water-based inks will let go on some of the glues. If you're using a water-based glue and you take your finger and you roll it back on the palette and it peels off, that's not a good sign. And I'm not mentioning brands. That's not a good sign, because it means it's separating. It means it will come off. So if you stick a shirt down and you pull the shirt off, you're sometimes pulling glue off with it. Well, I like to walk through department stores when I'm forced to go with my wife, and I go to t-shirts and I put my hand inside, and sometimes the shirts are stuck together. And I look at the brand, and then I reach out. Marketing 101. Find a customer, and I go, hey, who does your printing? What do you mean, who does your printing? Or we print in house. Okay, well, what glue are you using? Because I'm finding glue on the inside of your t-shirts. Who are you? So I've picked up some business that way, because it's like the glue transfers off. Now with the polyester fabrics, it's really difficult to get those to stay down, and people just keep spraying down more and more glue. What does that do? More and more glue transfers off onto the shirt. So Easy is a good product, and Easy X, as I say, is the Nike designator. So if you're a Nike printer and you've got to meet their protocols, because they push the protocols without looking at technology.
Absolutely. So right there, anybody looking, this is a common problem. I get it when I'm in shops going, what do we do about this? And I always say TBEZ. So if you're doing polyesters, dry fits, everybody is now. Everything with polyesters, you're getting transfer of adhesive. Get a hold of Techmar, get a hold of GSG, and start going with TBEZ. If you're using spray adhesives, let's talk about not doing that. And any of us can help you out with that. It's such an easy product. Water-based adhesive is. I cannot believe that we still have aerosol adhesive still being used.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's get the last topic here. And I think one of the reasons why a lot of people still using spray tack is because they got to print on a hoodie or a sweatshirt, right? Or if you're up north, a sweater. Here's a funny story. When I moved to Wisconsin, they were talking about where you got a sweater order, and to me, a sweater is like wear with a dress shirt, not a sweatshirt, and I was like, "What are you talking about sweaters? I don't get it." Right?
I think that might be a
but it's fleece.
Wisconsin, Minnesota, Scandinavian thing, because in Michigan, I've never heard it.
Minnesota.
Minnesota and Wisconsin, hey, the road there. What you gonna do there? Hey.
Yeah. So anyway,
although
so
now since the company I work for is in
not
Minnesota, I'll be
using-
getting calls, and they do live.
Is this as it relates, Alan? Is this as Marshall? Is this as it relates to adhesive? Is that why this fleece?
Yeah, adhesive. So fleece
absolutely.
versus t-shirts, right? So a lot of people will use a water-based adhesive for t-shirts, but they're still using spray tack for fleece, hoodies, sweatshirts, sweaters, whatever you want to call it, right?
And it's a web.
What is the best practice, Simon? Solve that mystery.
So the reason they switch to they want web adhesive for fleece. The reason they use web is web gives traction. So web kind of, I can do it in the camera. The web kind of gets in between, so it gives it some traction, so it can't.
Right.
So because the fleece wants to roll, on the adhesion. Well, the reason the fleece wants to roll is because it's pulling off the adhesive. So the lines of flash web adhesive give it some grip. It's kind of like it's like putting down one of those plastic boards underneath the tires of your truck when they're stuck when you're off road. Those plastic boards gives it some grip. So with our TB10 adhesive, when you spray it, you get a really good layer all the way across. So there's no voids on the pallet. So you get a good layer of adhesive, and because it's not coming off the pallet, we maintain that if most people are spraying every single shirt with the fleece with fleece goods, they spray before every shirt down. Our studies have shown that you reduce that to about 3 to 4 shirts with every 3 to 4 shirts when you're using our water-based adhesive technology, because it just stays on the pallet longer. The nice thing about fleece is our glues are impervious to water. They're water-based, but once they've dried, they're not solvent. You can't use water to solventize them. The water won't take them off. So if you get lint that builds up, people will take an abrasive sponge, a little bit of damp water, and they just drag it across the pallet, and it pulls the fleece off. If the pallet's warm, the water just evaporates and the glue's sticky again. So they can put the shirt, so they're not, because the other problem is when you're spraying web after web after web, all of a sudden you've got this thick, uneven layer on the pallet, and it affects the printability of the shirt. And next thing you know, as you're cleaning the pallets or peeling the paper off. Well, the smoother you can put it down, the easier you can get the lint off, get the lint to release, the better it is. So we're not doing the dozens of t-shirts like you can on a single application, but we're definitely doing 2 to 3 to 4 fleece goods with the TB10 and the EZ.
Okay, so, cool.
This is the product.
That's the product. That's the sprayable. The TB10 is the sprayable adhesive. You can direct apply it. You can thin it out. You can use a squeegee, but we sell it in gallons, 5s, 55s, totes. So we sell that in every size. We make it in-house. We make it on the East Coast in Georgia and West Coast in California. We ship it all over the world. It's the #1 screen printing adhesive on the planet, as far as I'm aware. I don't know anybody that has more volume on it, but we've been doing it for many years. So I think it's a benchmark product, but that's my opinion, and I'm biased. My philosophy on all the things we've talked about, a little known fact for most of the screen printers is I'm very active in martial arts, and I own a school. I teach martial arts, and the art we teach is it's the self-defense of the ninja. It's ninjutsu. It's called Toshindo, and it's ninjutsu. And the grandmaster, who's a 34th grandmaster, like a unbroken lineage, Hatsuma, he's retired. He's like 90. He's not. I don't teach or study directly in what he did, but my system comes from that. He defines ninjutsu, which came from his teacher Takamatsu Sensei. He defines it as ninjutsu is the art of winning. It's making the world a better place while getting what you want. So that's kind of philosophy I live by. I don't want to be a jerk. I don't want to screw around with people. But I want what I want. I want to have a nice life, but I also want the people around me to have nice lives. I want to spread out and empower it. So our products, we've always 100% genuine products. I don't want to have anything that's a hype product. I don't have anything that's just a scam product or anything. I just want genuine stuff that people can use. When I get compliments at trade shows, that says it all. I can't tell you how many times And it's not Alan that normally says this. It'll be a complete random stranger will come up when I'm in the middle of doing a demonstration and just lean in and go, "That's the best product I ever bought. I bought it 2 years ago. It's a great product, the TB500 or the TB1000." And it's like, you know, you can't pay. And I say, "I'll pay you later." I make a joke out of it, but you can't pay for that. You can't pay for that kind of recommendation. I mean, it's that's how you should live your life. That's how you should. If you're a printer, you what is it, Marshall? It's like, you know, it takes like 100 compliments to get rid of one negative that's been put out there in the industry. Or out there, you know, people don't remember the good stuff; they only remember the bad stuff. So you've got to work really hard to keep lots of good stuff happening. So.
Yeah, for the longest time, I've kept a folder when I get an email that's positive, or somebody says, "Hey, I like that blog article," or "Thank you for helping me," you know, whatever. I have a folder of awesomeness that's when you're having a bad day. Sometimes it's really good just to reread those things because not everything goes your way all the time. And
well, yeah, and if you want to have a bad day, read the bad ones.
Right.
I just have too good of a week. I need some negative.
Yeah.
If you want to be humbled,
yeah.
So, here's a great comment. Born in Wisconsin, never heard of a fleece product called a sweater. Okay, well, sorry, Richard, but that's what I was told. So, and then Ray says, "Great interview. Simon is someone I need to speak to. Oddly enough, some printed products in medical and electronic arena can use adhesives instead of a vacuum."
Wow.
There we go.
So I think we need to connect them, Alan.
Sorry, I just looked at the whole medical thing. I'm thinking, let's go. When they say suction, when they're trying to clean out something, are they now going to take like a pallet of adhesive and stuff it in there? I was like, sorry, you just. Yeah.
No, so I think Jesse and Simon know each other already from shows and stuff. I believe they do.
Jesse Greenwood, yeah, the name is. I do know the name. So
yeah, he was with SGIA for a while and everything.
Okay.
And
SGIA, I remember that. I remember SGIA.
I remember SGIA and
I remember SPIA.
I remember that SPIA too. I actually remember SPA too. But he was also with a competitor of ours out of California.
No. Have you ever added up how many trade shows you guys have done? I was trying to do the math on it, just trying to come up with a number.
I can't even.
I'm figuring it. I got to be in the 600 to 700 trade show range. It's just and it you know, we're getting old, and I look at the experiences and the life that we've had in this industry, and I'm not selling it short now, but we really grew up in the golden age of this industry.
Oh, absolutely.
It was such a. It's like asking to hook on you. Oh my God! Sorry.
You really don't need to hook these two up.
But we grew up in a golden age where
it was incredible.
With the show, we were like carnies, the trade show circuit. We'd be all the same. We'd be, you know, I remember the impressions. It was always the Hyatt Hotel and the Hyatt Bar at any venue. So whether it was Tampa, Orlando, Los Angeles,
the Tampa show, that's where I grew up in the industry. Is going out.
Yeah, and it was like, well, I was doing Orlando before Tampa, so we would be doing those shows, but it was always like, you know, this is not a badge of honor, but in the bar till 2 o'clock in the morning and up at 6 o'clock getting ready to work. And we were young. I mean, now it's like, you know, having my warm milk at 8 o'clock, getting to the hotel room, and then, you know, and then still waking up at 6 o'clock because I can't sleep. And then, you know, now I got to go out and get my 2 miles in every morning, which I did before the show this morning. I got to get my walk in, and but we did grow up in the golden age, and it was you know, a lot of the faces are kind of falling off now, but we're still some of us around.
So, Simon, what do you see that's interesting to you in the industry that's going on right now with fabrics or transfers, maybe, or whatever? Right? What do you see that you think is remarkable?
I like the hybrid. I like the you know, like the
our hybrid and stuff.
What's the squeegee? The magic squeegee. Digital squeegee. The digital squeegee. I like that, and I also like the. Sorry, I got I have an IP phone here. That's with the office. That's what's wrong. I'm not going to answer it, and apparently nobody else is. Oh yeah, actually,
they're all watching.
Someone just answered it. Okay. I like the hybrid technology, and I like how they're kind of they're cross-pollinating, so to speak, and we're getting the two together. I don't know if it's going to stand the test of time, whether that's just DTG is and DTF. I got to be careful how I say this. I don't want to sell it short because I'm not an expert by a long shot. I think direct screen printing has the edge on the production capability and the depth. I think the screen print shirts are still are my favorites when I look at the awards and when I'm watching people that are judging like Alan but I think the future, Marshall, we talked about this. I think the future might be a return to a little bit less technology and just it might just go. We're spiking on all this technology, and I think we're getting away from the beauty of what this industry used to be able to produce with, I've only got 6 screens. How am I going to produce this? And then some of the stuff that came out was just amazing, right? So, we make a unit, a quick call. We're the people that originally developed the flash cool down, the mister that goes between the pallets.
Oh yeah.
We that was one of my pioneers.
Yep, I remember seeing it.
And it got copied by a couple. And it got copied by a couple of people. But so that's good. I don't care. I don't care if people copy stuff. But that was developed because my sales pitch was like, so you buy this press with 10 colors and you got 12 stations and 10 colors, right? So how much you pay for that press? Well, I paid $50,000. So that's $5,000 a print head, right? And now you can't use that print head because you need a cool down station. So that print head sitting there, it's $5,000 you can't use. What about if we could give you a flash cure, a unit that went in after the flash cure, cooled the shirt down? So it cooled it down so you could go flash print instead of flash cool down print. We can do that. Yeah, you can do that. So we said, because they were scrambling for having more colors. They didn't know how to do these. So it's almost, so the people that are growing up now with direct to garment, it's too easy for them. They haven't gone through the struggles that our people went through, trying to figure out how do I get this amazing shirt, and I'm limited to 6 colors, 8 colors, 10 colors.
You don't see a lot of chefs that use a microwave.
No, exactly.
Yes, that's really good. You don't. Okay, they have the salamander that they put the stuff under, but but that's just more to melt the cheese. But yeah, you're right. They don't. You don't, and it's just. I love the DTG technology and DTF technology. I think it's fantastic. I mean, if you want to get one shirt printed or a dozen shirts for your club done, it can be done quick and turn it out. And all our friends that are doing that are going to hate me right now because I'm not selling it short. I love it. I think it's great. If you want to do 1,000 shirts, go and do your 1,000 shirts on your direct to garment. My point here is the screen printing has moved so far away from its roots, and I'm hoping I'm right. I think it's going to start to I'm off screen. I hope it's going to start to kind of come back in a little bit more to the center now. Sounds like a political speech. Come back a bit more into the center now, where we see some of the creativity. It's like a mechanic. What do mechanics learn now? They become computer programmers. They're not really working on cars. And every car now is modular. The test says replace this module. Replace this. They're not really. I got friends who are in the service managers and stuff, and they said, yeah, they're not mechanics, so to speak. They're more technicians now. They diagnose and replace a module. No one's building the engines anymore. No one's working on getting the performance out of an engine. And it's just like it's all electronics, and so the technology is great, but we've lost. Like he's only seen that. They're good. That's a good comment. Yeah, it's just. And you know what? I might just die, and never see that happen again. I don't know. It's just maybe it's a bit of a.
No, I think you're 100% spot on, because when you look at, and I'm like you. I like the technology that is in direct to garment and DTF. DTF is still in its infancy.
Yeah,
we have no idea what's going to happen. We've seen this play out before, but I think with screen printing, it is getting back more to the center. When I look at companies, say like Vastec, who all they make is manual equipment and do classes for that, they are swamped with orders. They just
they have the patent on the original carousel, right? The manual printer.
They did. Not the original manual, but the original. It was a double AZ Susan, which was the original rotary. of the screen, the pallet and screens,
Yeah.
and the original jacket hold down, jack clamp too.
Yeah.
So but they are still improving, redesigning and stuff, and that market is just huge for them. They do it better than anybody. It's not an afterthought to a larger automatic, but they just do it. And their classes, they just had an A to Z class packed out.
So I grew up when Hopkins was the industry
Oh, yeah.
standard. With they had the different branches, and you had Hopkins and Riley, and was active in the business, and it wasn't just named after him. And that was it was precision. It was precision, advance, and Hopkins.
Yeah, and Hopkins had the best micro registration out there. And most people don't remember that presses, because I don't know if you remember, Simon. Most people don't know I started my career with the old Harco Graphics.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew Krebs, because they were a Krebs dealer.
Yeah.
But these presses originally, micros were not standard. They were an option.
No. The rubber mallet was rubber mallet was the micro.
Yeah, exactly. What pound sludge do you want?
What do you mean rubber mallet? I've seen
yeah,
like a carpenter hammer.
Yeah.
You know what? And so Frank just asked, what about Antec? Well, Antec was around. Antec had an incredible micro, but they did not have the reach that Hopkins did. It was just an incredible press at the time on there. And Antec, everybody knows the Legend, but they had a smaller one called the Tracer, which I liked better than the Legend. So, yeah,
we go back. Charlie knows how far back we go.
Well, and we talk about being chefs. For me, I started in the industry. We always had flash units. Charlie is showing me prints and him printing. When Plastisol, there was no flash unit.
Yeah.
It was on dark colors, all wet on wet.
Yep, wet on wet. I know. I remember those days.
All right, everybody, forget that you had to make your own, you had to do your own steps and stuff or send them out to be done. But all right, now here's Plastisoling. By the way, no flashes, and go ahead, print.
Marc Coudray wouldn't exist if it wasn't for that industry.
Absolutely.
Marc pioneered that.
100%.
Yeah. So you got all these people that we're old. What can I tell you?
Good. All right. Well, hey, we're out of time. What a great discussion today. So,
but you know what,
Simon, and thanks for everybody that's watching.
I got one more point. I want to get back to the center. Simon, you and I were just at a show. In my class that I did, I am not a high-end teacher like Mr. Coudray or the guys from Aviat and stuff.
Wally.
I am a fundamental teacher, and I had a packed room there.
You were packed. Both classes you were packed, right?
Yeah. And it was just on fundamentals and stuff. It was incredible. And you know what? You talk about, there was a post today from a guy that was in the class going, I'm printing whites even better now, trying to implement some stuff I learned at One Stop's open house. Thank you, Alan Howe. And that means the world.
That's awesome. I'm going to teach some martial arts next time I go.
What's that?
I'm going to go teach a martial arts seminar next time I do the one.
You've done that at a show. I remember at an open house that you did that at. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Good. So, hey, everybody's thanking us. So, really appreciate everyone. So, have a great weekend. Simon, don't go anywhere. We're just ending the show. So, Frank says, by the way, what about jiu-jitsu? That's his discipline.
The jiu-jitsu is cool. I like all martial arts. We teach ninjutsu, which is the original mixed martial arts, 1100 years old. So we fight on the ground, we fight standing up. We go home smiling and happy. We don't want to die. So.
Right.
Well,
all right. Hey, everyone, thanks so much and have a great weekend. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.